Hello guys, welcome back to Ride On Academia. We are still on our series on the compound interest, right? So today we are going to be looking at another aspect, okay, which is the present value, all right? Now in our last video, we were looking at the compound interest where we saw how we can calculate the future value, all right? In the case where interest is paid in a year, like we said, our future value is our principal, which I said it can also be called the present value, right? Our principal multiplied by 1 plus our rate raised to the power of the number of years for which that investment is kept. Okay, now in today's video we are going to be looking at how to get the present value, right, which we know or we often call the principal. Okay, the present value now is talking about the amount of money you need to invest today, okay, to be able to get that future value, to be able to get a determined future value, okay, a determined amount, okay, after you have invested plus interest rate, okay, how much to be able to get a specific amount of money in the future. All right, so we're going to be using this formula, the case where interest is paid yearly, okay, just paid once in a year. We're going to be using that formula to be able to calculate for our present value. All right, so in calculating for our present value, if we observe that we have a bracket, right, and the bracket symbolizes multiplication, okay, so if we want our present value, which is our p, to stand alone, it means we're going to be dividing both sides, okay, by our coefficient. In this case, the coefficient of p is 1 plus r raised to the power of n, okay, so we can divide both sides by this. All right, so that we can have this one strike out, okay, and then we are left with our p. That is to say that our present value formula is simply our future value, okay, that amount of money we want to have in the future, all right, divided by 1 plus our rate and then raised to the power of the number of years. All right, so we're going to be using this to solve an illustration. All right, we have that a person has a liability of 34,980 plus 13 naira, okay, that's the liability. He has a liability of 34,980.13 naira, and then that liability needs to be repaid in 4 years time, okay, he needs to pay up that money in 4 years time. All right, now the person wants to know how much he or she needs to invest today to be able to have that amount of money at the end of 4 years time. Okay, we are told that the investment will be earning 15% per annum. All right, 15%, that is the interest is charged once in a year. Okay, the person is going to be earning 15% per annum. So we want to know how much should we invest, okay, to be able to remember we want to pay off that liability in 4 years time. So we want to know how much should we invest today. Now following that 15% rate, interest rate, okay, we are following 50% interest rate. How much should we invest today to be able to make up 34,980.13 naira in 4 years time? That means the amount of money we are looking for, that is our future value. Okay, this is our future value. What we want to realize is 34,980.13. all right, this is the amount that we want to be able to get, all right, in 4 years time. That's our future value. Our interest rate, which is our r, all right, our r is 13%, is 15%, okay, our r is 15%. So 15%, when we divide by 100, okay, we'll be having 0.15. all right, so let me quickly do the arrangement quickly. Our future value, according to our question, we have 34,980.13. all right, and then our rate, okay, our rate is 15%, okay, we'll be investing at 15%, which is also 15 over 100. So when we divide, we'll be having 0.15, right? And then lastly, our number of years, okay, that investment is going to be, that money is going to be invested. We want to know how much to invest in 4 years time, okay, which is when we ought to pay this future value, right? So the number of years in this case is 4 years. All right, and then since we are asked per year, interest is paid per year, it means it's a compound interest, right? Interest is compounded annually. So we want to know our future value, right? So we are just going to fix in our formula into this, okay, so this is our present value or principal. All right, and then our future value is 34,980.13. all right, and then our bracket, 1 is constant, 0.15 for rate, 0.15 per raised to the power of 4. All right. So when we solve for that, we are having 34,980.13 for the bracket, right? 1 plus 0.15, we're having 1.15 raised to the power of 4. Okay. So we are having 34,980.13. Now 1.15 raised to power 4 will give us 1.749, all right, to 3 decimal places. Now to get our present value, we're just going to be dividing, all right. So we have 34,980.13 naira divided by 1.749. That will be giving us an approximate amount of 20,000 naira. All right, let's use to the nearest whole number. Okay, so automatically this means that when we invest 20,000 naira today or this year, giving 15% interest rate, and then at the end of 4 years we should be able to come up with the future value, okay, to clear up that liability. So this is how we solve for the present value still under the compound interest. All right, we have come to the end of today's episode on the present value. Don't forget to like this video if it was helpful to you. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Share our video with as many as you can. All right, we'll see you in our next class. Thank you.